Again, yeah, thanks so much for coming out. Wasn't expecting a full house, so I really appreciate it. Yeah, I guess we could get as many buzzwords as we could into the title, so that was the idea there. So glad to see we hit a lot of people's interest on that one. So yeah, this is the agenda. We'll go through. We'll have slides on each of these, so it'll make more sense as we're going through. Okay, so I'm Tom Milner. I'm Director of Engineering at Tenable. Tenable is a cybersecurity company. Very much would have made our name as vulnerability management, so scanning your laptops, your servers, bringing in, finding the vulnerabilities in there and explaining that to our customers, you know, processing the data, making it worthwhile. Over the last few years, we've brought in different types of data, like from web apps, cloud security, identity security, so scanning your AD and your Azure AD, or what's called now Electra or something, external stack surface management, and OT, so basically anything from refineries to water factories or water companies. So that means there's lots of different data, and it would have been in lots of different silos up to about 2 years ago. So our CPO at the time, Nico Pop, he had this vision that we were going to bring all this data together into a single platform and make it useful for, so if a customer had each of these verticals, they would be able to see all that data in one place. They'll be able to get a score across their entire footprint of devices and assets all across the company. So we'll bring that into one application. That application is called Tenable One Exposure Management Platform. That launched almost a year now. Been pretty successful. It's our marquee product. And it allows CISOs and top level execs to see at a very high level a score of how they're doing as a company in terms of vulnerability. It's all built on Snowflake. So we bring all that data in from all these different silos and bring it into Snowflake, model it up into a usable view, and we also generate metrics and make that available to our customers in this Tenable One Exposure Management Platform. It's been very successful. It's built on Snowflake, so it's not your typical BI application. You know, it's not like, okay, if the data is down or not fresh, or if there's a bit of an issue, maybe Ted in finance is a bit annoyed, but look, not the end of the world. But if it's your paying customers and their data is not right, that's annoying. That's something in Tenable we take really seriously. Obviously, their customers are paying to have this data and have these insights right, so we really needed it to have that right in there. So as you see at the bottom, Exposure AI, that was launched at Black Hat there at the start of August. That's our new platform that we're going to allow our customers to be able to interrogate and query data. So getting more hands-on with the data, getting deeper into the data that we have for all of our customers. So we really need to have this data right and ready and available for our customers. So it's the big driver for us there. So I won't dive into this too much, but effectively Tenable is one big data pipeline. It's not a big data pipeline, it's one big data pipeline. That's what I'm trying to say there. And this isn't even the half of it. So like my realm is here pretty much, but all the data is coming in from sensors on the right hand side, and we're adding more and more of those sensors. I'll go through at the end. But the data is coming through different microservices and different pipelines and weaving its way through, getting enriched, getting metrics added, you know, going off to other applications and stuff. And then eventually it lands down here for me and my team to work with. So I'll come back to this in a minute, but just wanted to set some context. And it's effectively what Tenable is doing. Customers send us their data, we transform it, we enrich it, we model it, we make it useful for our customers. So, so in my realm, as I said, or what my team does within Snowflake itself, so data comes into S3. We use a Snowflake, everything then after that is within Snowflake, so they have a good feature called Snowpipe. So as soon as data is landing into S3, we bring that into what we call our raw format here. So that's the data as it is, it comes in. We have an ELT platform, or an ELT way of transforming our data. So we take that raw data, we have a stream off it, so basically the stream is like a pointer to the change data, like CDC, and then we have within Snowflake, we have tasks that listen to that stream, and then they spin up once there's work to do. They transform that data. We bring it in here. It's like the first stage of modeling the data. So we break it down to, like, we use a Kimball model, so we have dimensions and facts in here. And then from there, we have streams off that data then, and another task, and this is where we start to compute our metrics once it's in the format that we need it to be. So this is up to now with our Tenable One Exposure Management Platform. It was the highly aggregated data at the metrics level that we were given to our customers. With Exposure AI, it's down to more of this data as well, so diving deeper into the actual transactional data. Yeah, so at a very high level, what we're doing with Snowflake, like this is currently the Snowpipe off S3. They now have Snowpipe streaming, so we're testing that, so how we can get data in more real time, because we only really run this a half an hour. Doesn't matter if it's Snowflake or a data lake, you still have a small files problem regardless, so you know, we need to kind of bunch up the data into a pretty good format, but with Snowpipe streaming, it takes care of that for us, so we can be getting the data in faster and faster, which is good for our customers, but brings challenges in terms of data observability also. The other thing with Tenable and the way we have it, we're a globally distributed company, so we have 16 different Snowflake databases, all of the same schema, spread across 11 different Snowflake accounts around the world. So that's 3 in the US, 2 in Europe, Brazil, a few in Asia Pac, India, all spread all around the world. So small team, as I said, 9 people. We didn't want to be managing too much on the ops side, so that's where having Snowflake really helps. In terms of data observability, we'll see that could be an issue, having 16 different databases around the world. But yeah, that's our global footprint. It's interesting how we can get that to work with 9 people, but it's been good, been really good. These are kind of helper databases, if you will. So we have a feature called benchmarking. So we're able to benchmark scores. Customers within different industry verticals are able to see how they are competing, I guess, or performing against other customers within their same vertical. So we're bringing all that data into a single place and ship it back. It's all anonymized. There's no PII or anything moving around. So in that point of view, so yeah, lots of stuff moving around and going and happening there. So this is data observability. Monte Carlo helped me with this slide here. So you know, yeah, I get this question a lot. I get it from my own team. I get it from within Tenable and customers as well. Yeah, but I find if I'm talking to people who've been in the data space for a while, they get it pretty quick. So bear with me. I'm going to do a little exercise. Like, how many people have been working with data for 2 years? 2 years. How many people for 5 years? Okay, 10 years. 20 years. Yeah, I read a stat once that every 5 years the number of developers doubles. That kind of marries about right, but yeah. Like 10, 15 years ago, we built our own Monte Carlo, if you will. It was very much rules-based, so and every new table you added, you had to ensure it was added into the framework, and like you had to actually work out what latency you wanted. Is this data loading every day or every hour or every half hour or things like that? So I told a story last night. I was at a panel last night. Remember a thing, I used to work for an online poker company, and releases there were a big thing. Would take like half a day to get everything out. And we did this huge release, and you know, a lot of preparation, everything going up to it. So basically stop everything, do the release. The first step then was to run all our jobs once, just to make sure there were no issues. We didn't want to turn it all in a big flood and have a lot of errors, so we turned it back on, or we ran them all once, and it looked perfectly. Everybody was really happy. We all ran out the door to the pub, and came back in the next day. We'd forgotten to turn them on fully. So basically, our customers were annoyed. Our customer service guys were even more annoyed. It was a big hoo-ha. So we'd done everything right. Everything had gone extremely well, but forgot that last step. If we'd have had a proper, like one of the jobs we turned off was our data latency job as well, so that's part of the thing. So that's why it didn't come up. So yeah, if we'd have had something like a data observability tool at the time, would have made sense. So that memory, that experience has always stuck with me. So when we were building the Tenable One exposure management platform, we knew from the very start that we wanted something like this. We wanted a tool that was going to help us. This is customer facing, real paying customers using our data. They couldn't, you know, the guys are gone to the pub, you just have to wait till they get back. That's not going to fly. So so we needed a tool like that. So that's, just setting the scene of what data observability is. The easiest way I explain to people is data observability manages the data. To me, a database is a big bundle of state. It's not like an application which is stateless. It's a big bundle of state, and that needs to be monitored. Your pipelines can be stateless, which is, you know, easier to monitor. Look, they send an error, they're done, they don't have to worry about it anymore. But your data is one big pile of state, and that needs to be managed. And that's where I see data observability coming in. The big thing that really has helped us, the ML side, basically it's able to point. So there's a training period of about 9 days. That's officially, recently I've seen it go a bit faster, but we stick with the 9 days. So you basically integrate it in with your database. The integration itself, it's agentless, less than an hour if you've been really pedantic about it all, but it can be even quicker to get Monte Carlo pointing at your Snowflake instance. It's automatically there, it's starting to learn, it's getting the out-of-the-box monitors, in terms of data freshness, lineage, schema changes, that all just comes pretty straight away. So that's the tech part. The resolve side, so basically you're in there, you're able to dive into Monte Carlo, you're able to see, okay, this table is slow because this table is slow because we don't use DBT or Airflow, but if you had that, it will monitor those for you as well, and you can go all the way back to see what's broken there. So, and then prevent, so like I said, schema changes, so you can get alerts if somebody's breaking a really important table, you can see what's going on there, and you can it's got a pretty good incident management side as well, so being able to track incidents over time and how that's going. But it's really, for us, the biggest value is on the freshness side, so that data latency, knowing when tables are going out of date. So like when we spun up Tenable 1, the platform, we had to backfill 15 months of data. That takes time, there's a big chunk of it there. And we had Monte Carlo running alongside it for us. Snowflake was able to handle that volume, but like some of the tools previous to that, like AWS Batch and others, were struggling with the data. So what we were looking at in Snowflake in terms of tasks and streams, all good. Pipelines were all good, but data wasn't coming in. And with Monte Carlo, we were able to see that and get there. We as I said, we got those 16 sites done in a month with the help of Snowflake and Monte Carlo, getting that data through. We wouldn't have been able to do it and wouldn't have been able to make the launch without the likes of Monte Carlo. So in terms of data observability, like I said, we had to sell this to our internal people signing the checks. So I said past, present, and future. So when we started going with Monte Carlo, this is what we were taught we were getting. So we're trying to support a customer-facing platform. That's what we said. We have to tell our guys, we're going to have this data facing customers. We want to know if it's slow. We want to know if it's been latent. If there's data's not coming in, we need to know about that straight away. And we were changing things so fast and so quickly. New tables, everything coming in. We didn't want the hassle of trying to make sure every table was in there. We wanted something that would automate that for us. We wanted a single pane of glass observability. Those 16 sites all around the world, we wanted that to be in one place. We didn't want to have to go to 16 different places to see what was broken or what was slow. We wanted that in one single place. We wanted that integration into PagerDuty and Slack from one place as well. So making sure everything was coming into one place. We had a small team. We're not trying to build an empire with 9 people. We are really efficient in what we do. We want to focus on the business logic. We don't want to be focusing on ops or infrastructure or anything like that. We want to be focusing on our customers and building what's right for them. So again, we wanted to keep that low. You don't know what you don't know. Like literally, that's the power of Monte Carlo and where we've seen that evolution. We didn't really know what exactly. We had a lot of data coming in from lots of different sources and new sources being added upstream that we would not have known of and we didn't particularly want to know about. We wanted that data to be coming in all the time and being modeled. If there are changes to our structure, we wanted to know that automatically and in there. So, there we go. So at the moment, what I find one of the really big benefits with Monte Carlo, it's a safety net for our customers. The cost of failure is pretty low. We do testing, we do component tests, we do all that, but it never catches everything. So, on deployments to production, we could do deployments. We've already done 2 today so far. I've been checking, a bit unusual so early, but we could be doing 4 or 5 deployments a day to all 16 sites all around the world, at least. So, my customers know Monte Carlo, not my customers, my developers, I know Monte Carlo's there for me when I do a deployment. If something does go wrong, it will catch it, and it will tell us that there is an issue. So, it sounds like a small thing. It's psychological more so. It's, Charlie Majors goes on around what's called psychological safety, that you can, from a data observability point of view, having a proper data observability tool in place just makes it easy for you. You don't have to be guessing. You don't have to be afraid to press that button. You can do your deployments and move on. So DATAOPS, I'll follow this on another slide, but yeah, custom monitors, we knew they were there when we signed up for Monte Carlo. Kind of had an idea that we wanted to use them, but wasn't 100% as powerful as wasn't 100% sure how useful they have been. They've been really, really useful for us, really helpful. I would say almost as useful as the out-of-the-box monitors, having those custom monitors in there, and I'll show you a bit more about those. And an APM, so that huge big pipeline I showed you, another slide on that, like how other teams are now using Snowflake and Monte Carlo, or Monte Carlo on top of Snowflake to manage the whole pipeline. So being able to see, where not just within Snowflake, but further back in the pipeline where there are issues. And so the future, we're working with Monte Carlo, we've a good relationship there. We want to develop an SLI around data freshness, so that will be something that we can publish to our customers, how fresh is your data, and it would also be something that can drive changes in the backlog. If we want certain data sets we want to get to go faster, or slower, depending on cost and things like that, if we're loading in things too quickly versus the benefit. And having an SLI there that will drive where our team should be looking in terms of supporting the application. So building an SLO around that SLI. We've also found business users are like, well, okay, I want to monitor this metric. I want this metric coming to my Slack channel. So we have research and data science teams. We have ops teams that want to, like CSMs who have particular customers. They want to know how that customer's data is doing. They want to be able to build their own monitors on top of it. So that's been pretty interesting there and how we can do that. So it's really good. The performance dashboards, we're a beta customer for that. We've already had some really good wins on that one. And again, working with Monte Carlo on how we can develop that and make it better. But it's pretty good from the initial point of view. That single pane of glass as well, being able to see where those performance issues are across all 16 warehouses. And then incident management, so not something we drove within the team, but the developers have started to use that incident management piece within Monte Carlo already themselves, and we're going to try and expand that and how that works very well for us. So, so DataOps for us wouldn't work without custom monitors. So basically we're able to use this for a custom monitor. There are many different types of ones. The ones that we use are SQL monitors. There are others that I can't recall at the minute, but so basically what you can do is you can run any SQL statement on a schedule you want. It'll evaluate the output of that query that you run against a specific threshold. So have any task failed in the last 60 minutes greater than 0 type of thing. So, and then we can send an alert to Slack or into PagerDuty if there's been an issue. Again, been really useful for us. Again, that psychological safety for our developers, deploying out new tasks, seeing failures. So we've tasks which are very much within the realm of our team, and we kind of know when changes are going out, but queries are a bit different. Lots of different applications using Snowflake, using our platform, running their own queries that we don't control. So if we're seeing queries fail from a new application that's coming in, or they've made a change on their side, we are a platform, we want to know that query is failing, and we want to help our customers, and I say customers, I mean internal developers within Tenable building applications on a platform. If their queries are failing, maybe they're timing out, maybe there's actually just syntax errors in there's a lot of ORMs that are using this data, we're now starting to use tools like ThoughtSpot that generate their own queries on top of Snowflake. So we want to be able to see when those queries are failing and step in to help those other developers and help them onboard better onto Snowflake. So been really good. There's a link to a blog there. It's probably bad color in there. I should have made it different. But I wrote a blog there last week with Monte Carlo. It goes into a bit more detail about this. So this is monitors as code, if you will. So again, we have 16 different sites. I don't want to set up a monitor every time in each one manually. You can set it up with a YAML file using monitors as code. It's a feature within Monte Carlo. So basically we just write this once, we check it into GitHub, Jenkins picks it up then, and then we use Monte Carlo has a CLI that basically pushes that into Monte Carlo. So we have a single instance of Monte Carlo, and it creates that monitor for us in each 16 of the sites. So really useful. We only have to do it once with this YAML file, and again, business users can come in and do this themselves. Once they know SQL, all you really need is that SQL, and once you put that in there, it just works for you, and it works really easy. It's been very seamless for us. Right, so back to this monster of a pipeline and how we're doing it for APM. So when we first started using Snowflake and Monte Carlo, we were looking here, we were saying, okay, data is coming in, why is it not coming in? So it may not be an issue with our task, could have been an issue with our task, not saying we're perfect, but At times it was an issue somewhere up here. One particular data set was slow. Why is that slow? What's happening in this site? And then we were able to go back to the teams that own these microservices and they go, oh, hang on, we had an incident here and that was an issue. We didn't really realize it kind of sorted itself out with a restart and we didn't know about it at the time, or it happened over time. So we were saying, and then we that happened a few times with different microservices teams, and they're like, okay, can we help here? Can we get involved here? How can we use Monte Carlo to help further up the pipeline to find that different types of data are slow, what's going on? So that kind of brought us into this whole, I never thought we were going to end up here at all, that we'd be using this. I'm like, why is Datadog not doing this for you? Why is other tools not doing this for you? Why not? So, and it can do it, but it's just, with Snowflake and Monte Carlo, it's pretty straightforward. So we've basically built an APM monitoring tool with Snowflake, with Monte Carlo on top of Snowflake. So you have all the microservices here. They instrument the pipeline, so when they're finished on the pipeline, they basically send a message into, when they finish, they send a message into Kafka. We have a topic set up for them. That topic comes into Snowflake with Snowpipe. It's pretty straightforward. And then Monte Carlo is listing out, we don't transform the data, it's the actual raw data that's coming in from Kafka itself. We don't need to transform it. So Monte Carlo with a custom monitor from Monte Carlo, using the monitor's code spread across, again, I've said 16 sites, I don't have my time, so I'll probably stop. We're able to basically run one of those queries with a threshold and alert then into Slack or PagerDuty. And then, so like it tracks every stage of the pipeline. And then we're able to find areas where we can fix parts of the pipeline and where we need to focus. So, like I'm not saying Monte Carlo or Snowflake fixed the pipeline, but it brought that visibility, it shone that spotlight into where we needed to go, where we needed to fix things, and did that. So, like this year, we've been able to bring the latency of that overall big data pipeline, down by 50%. We were able to find stages where we could actually reduce the latency overall and bring it down, but there's more actions, there's more to come to kind of deal with different microservice owners to bring that data down. Look, and we were able to bring down our SLI or our SLO around that SLI, so we have a good SLI up to Snowflake around how data is in that pipeline, and now we're able to reduce the SLO and increase, basically have a higher SLO, I suppose. I have that written wrong. But it's happier customers. So, yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like it's been a journey. We've been working with Monte Carlo and Snowflake for almost 2 years now. Said don't know what you don't know, and we're finding out more, and we're building more on top of it. And I think we're making our customers happier with the data that we're getting in there, and the quality, and the latency, and the freshness. So, yeah, that's pretty much me. Before we go, I want to say thank you to Sydney from Monte Carlo for putting me forward for this talk. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been, I said I wasn't expecting a full house, so I really thank anyone that's coming here. We have 10 minutes, I think, left, so if there's any questions, I think I have to put on the headset for questions. So, I don't know. Is there any questions? Yeah, there's a question here.
And thank you for a good session. Just sorry, being naive means, what is Monte Carlo?
No, not naive. That's a good question. As I said, I get this a lot. So Monte Carlo is a SaaS-based platform. It's, as I said, I feel like it's founded by Bar Moses. It's a company. She would be one of the pioneers in the data observability space. So data observability. It's an automated way of monitoring your data at rest, if you will. Being able to track the state of your data. As I said, the big thing here around the freshness. So, yeah, if you've ever had an analyst or a business user come to you going, this report hasn't updated today. You know, Monte Carlo will be able to say that table in the background has not updated today. I will say that they're a cool group. They're over there. I think booth 240. They can go through more of what Monte Carlo is and show you a demo and how it works. I should have put more slides in around that, so apologies. We have just.
Do I take? Yeah. What's been the biggest challenge with implementing Monte Carlo?
A lot of it's been around the the people side of things. So basically trying to explain what Monte Carlo is, what data observability is, why we should invest in it. That has been the challenge. It's getting it set up is pretty straightforward, to be honest. It's agentless, so you just point it at your Snowflake instance and it starts to tell you stuff about your data that you would not have thought of. So that's like, there needs to be a champion for it within your company, I guess, would be the best way to say it. I suppose I've been that champion and I've been pushing it and showing people how to use it and the value you can get out of it. So yeah, getting buy-in from the rest of your developers and the rest of your company, it takes time. Like, sometimes you will feel like you're banging your head off a brick wall at times, but stick with it, and it really does, like, it has paid its money back in like tenfold in my eyes. Like, so not saying that, we're talking about, we just negotiated a new deal, so we're gone. But I won't say that extra. But that's, yeah, it's getting, and that's not even, it's not even your business users or the people paying the bill. Like, I've had this challenge with my own developers and my own team. Why are we using Monte Carlo? Why can't we use Datadog instead? Why blah blah? And we use both. And I would say Datadog for monitoring pipelines and Monte Carlo for monitoring the data. That's kind of how I focus on it. So yeah, I think we have a guy down here. I think this guy there.
Hi. Did you go through a big sort of evaluation process when choosing Monte Carlo and comparing it to other platforms? And what was it about Monte Carlo that sort of meant it was what you chose?
The big thing at the time was the maturity of the product. So like, you go out there now, there's about 10 different companies selling you data observability tools. 2 years ago, Monte Carlo was the most advanced. Like, I think it started 5 years ago, Monte Carlo did. There's been a number of competitors. We did talk to other competitors at the time, but they weren't at that level of maturity. It's worked out well for us. It's a bit of a tasty question, but that was the primary reason. We had some reservations at the time. I didn't really like the UI, I'll be honest, at the time, but it's worked out pretty well. They've adapted, they've changed it. And for the most part, like Slack, the integration with Slack is what we use primarily, and as long as that's going well, then we can go in and get more feedback in the GUI. It brings you to where you need to be. You don't really have to be monitoring around or looking around within the GUI. They were well backed to plenty of finance. They weren't going to be disappearing overnight, so that was a good thing. Yeah. I think there's a guy here, or yeah. There's one guy over there as well. So.
Hiya. I was just wondering, how complex can the custom monitors be? Say if you're expecting a certain number of changes in a table or a certain number of rows, can you put that into the SQL in the custom monitor and it will pick it up and notify you if it doesn't execute that?
It will, yeah. It does that, but that's one of the out-of-the-box monitors. You can track the volume on the table. So if that starts to change or fluctuate from day to day or whatever time period the data is rolling up, it will do that for you. So, but you can be as complex as your SQL skills can be or not be. So you can put whatever SQL statement you want in that monitor. So it can be pretty involved. But there are, if you want to go too complex, there are other custom monitors in there that will monitor down to a field level and certain data quality, other measures that aren't out of the box. So it'd be worth looking at those before going, if you need to go too complex on the SQL side. I think those. Do you have? Was there?
Hi, hello, great talk. What are some of the trends in data that you feel like is underhyped that people are not talking enough about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, of course, everyone's talking about Gen AI and LLMs and all that sort of stuff, but I tell you, most of my team, or myself, a lot of my headspace in the last quarter has been on micro-partitions within Snowflake itself, like trying to get that data ready and performance so you can query it and use it in an LLM if you want. But that's like, to me, it seems like when we started with the exposure management data platform, we just threw the data in there. It was like a black box. We didn't really think about it too much. But like what you can get if you get your micro partitions right in terms of performance and moving data around and updates, inserts, query performance, it's massive if you get that right, get your partitioning right, whether you need to use auto clustering and all that. So it's not sexy, but you still need to have those good data engineering practices in place. Yeah, that's kind of, and it's, I said that if you get the micro partitions right, the clustering keys right on your Snowflake tables, it's huge, huge in terms of cost reduction as well. We've noticed too. So, yeah, that's kind of where my head's at the minute, rather than Gen AI. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much, guys. I'll be out there if anyone has any more questions. I really appreciate it.